How y'all doing out there? What's happening? So I'm gonna just talk about that Ohio State, Georgia game. I thought Ohio State was gonna win, and I turned off and I came back, and then uh, Georgia showed their resilience. And in college football, you don't expect. You've seen it with Alabama for years, and then Clemson took over. Then Georgia won last year, but you just never know the heart of a champion. You never know how they're gonna come back, and they win in different ways. And Georgia is quite impressive. I don't think Ohio State was necessarily their best. They were flawed during the season, but I thought that lo and behold, here they are in the top four, and I thought maybe there would have been a rematch with them in Michigan because I was pulling for Michigan, but Ohio State, this was a steps off this year, but they were still good enough to be in the mix. It's great the prevalent teams, but there's always like, okay, they're another tier, another level of this. But I just want to say something. The kid missed that field goal, was wide left. It was badly, but don't condemn him, don't knock him. I mean, I've seen it happen in the NFL. Remember Mike Vanderjagt with the Colts missed that one wide right, and he was a decent kicker. But Peyton Manning had words, and he called him a liquored up kicker. I remember that whole thing, but it happens. It really does happen. That's not why really Ohio State lost the game. Georgia kept coming back. Ohio State's defense couldn't stop them. And if you pay attention during the season, Ohio State was getting tacked. The passing, they definitely were giving up points, giving up yards. It's one thing about containment, bend don't break, but they was giving up some 30-point games, which is not typical Ohio State football. So tip your cap to the champions, Georgia. Georgia TCU should be compelling. I'm going to give TCU their due because some people may have thought I was just, and now, of course, Michigan choked the game, horrible choke, bad call, bad situations, but TCU was a better team. They hit big plays. They came out ready to play. They were well prepared, and they're not going to roll over for nobody. That could be a heck of a game next week with TCU and Georgia. You got two teams putting up some numbers. So 40-plus games, both, title games. Statements right there. So, you just tip your cap, may the best team win because it could go either way. It's really that close. But, Georgia won the game over Ohio State. I can't stand Ohio State, but I can also acknowledge that they still good enough to be in the mix, because that's just the reality. Just like Bama was number 5. So, you're starting to see some things fall in the line. I don't think you need to extend the playoffs more than what you're seeing because I do think this is the 4 best teams you're going to see. Bama don't deserve no more. Nobody below 6 or 7 or 8 deserves to be in the final 2 or 4 because I think Georgia and TCU are the best 2 teams. They showed depth and determination, and they played. So I have no problems with this. And I think college football will be making a greedy mistake to try to water it down. When you saw what you saw last night, now it takes a longer time for the teams to come back after a month. But having said all that, they're the 2 best teams. Michigan and Ohio State just aren't that good as those 2 right now. And that's sad for me to say it for Michigan because I thought that was their best chance to win. I thought Bama's out the mix. I kind of downplayed Georgia. Maybe looked at it as a fluke, but they're tough. But make no mistake about it, you are seeing the 2 best teams going to come out next Monday for the title. And sometimes it's clear cut. Please hit like, subscribe, work on thoughts and comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another shit video if you want to. And I'll tell you another thing. Feel free to debate that, but I think they are the 2 best teams. That I think they got it right. And I think sometimes you can see it, whether you want to or not. And I can say this as a Michigan fan and necessarily don't have a rooting interest in Georgia or TCU, but I can see what I see. I'm out.